Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, church news time. And in case you're new, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud. It is not Joseph Smith's church. Joseph Smith's church was in the learning of the Jews, thus not Christian, thus not Jesus. You've all been lied to. The church has deceived you. Good job. You fell for it. So, moving on with that core key knowledge, keystone knowledge, what should have been your first clue. You guys were born and raised in Utah and you didn't catch it? I had to wait until I got married in room number 13. Moving on. The top story is Elder Holland is going to try to defy death a third time. Back in 2020, I filed a court filing in the federal courts against the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in which I revealed that very keystone, carved in stone evidence, shall we say. And we found out a couple weeks later, Holland had to go to the hospital after the lawyers had presented him with my latest filing. So, moving on into the future, earlier this year for conference, we are informed that both Holland and his wife contracted COVID and would not be attending. They were in the hospital. And so, contracting COVID and being hospitalized, as we've all come to learn, is the worst case scenario. And knowing of the lies that perpetuate the life of Elder Holland, there are other critics who know this too. They've done the videos, lying for the Lord, etc., etc., with his speaking to Harvard and other threats that he has given to LGBTQ community, like shooting them. I have no problem mocking him, since he's the one who said pornography is as deadly and dangerous as COVID. So, he contracts COVID, must have been looking at porn. And if you've never been to an endowment ceremony in the temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you have no idea how funny that is. Because who's the one who wants to shame women's bodies? If you don't know, go to the temple again. You're still good for 2 years with your paying of tithing at the interview time. It's priestcraft, protection racket, and all sorts of other financial crimes and other crimes that emerge from it, like seditious conspiracy. And so we were told in May that they are better, out of the hospital, but Holland has kidney dialysis that he has to do. And so, June, July, August, 3 months later, he's in the hospital again. Just lost his wife. Must have been looking at porn. If you're going to work for Lucifer, you're going to get my jokes. And so, yeah, this is pretty serious. He's old, near death. Go to a 3-story studio. Despite being deceived as members of the church, they do have a cool, except the hovering thing won't disappear after you pass on by. It stays. Gotta fix that, guys. So, going down to Holland, born December 3rd, 1940. It's August 3rd. He's 82 years, 8 months. And so, yeah, that's the national average, especially after COVID, for death time now, the mortality rate. And, yeah. And so, yeah, if you have your Deadpool, Clint Eastwood, Jim Carrey in Deadpool. If you've seen the R-rated movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Of course, none of you have seen the R-rated movie, have you? Because you're good Mormons. You don't disobey the living prophets of Jesus, do you? Who is actually Lucifer in disguise. And so, yeah, it's expected that he's going to go pretty quickly here. And it's unclear if he's been hospitalized, how much time he has left. Because apparently the dialysis isn't going to prolong his life for 5-10 years as it normally does an average person. So, yeah, he's now on a emeritus status again. This is the second time for emeritus status. First time was just a temporary hospital visit. When they announced on the 3rd, no, that's emeritus status. He's no longer performing his job functions. And then he came back from the dead, resurrected, back off of emeritus status. So, there you have it. We now have 14 total apostles, with the president of the apostles, not the president of the church, not Joseph's church, remember? Oh, right, you don't follow. You're not even going to listen to Nelson, who's next. Because he's in the news too. So, yeah, it's the final countdown. But may I notice and make a point that in the video I did today, I put in a little sign in the heavens. And anybody watch that video? Who's a revelator? I'm a revelator. Who's a prophet? I'm a prophet. Who's not a prophet? Nelson's not a prophet. Holland's not a prophet. I am. Take that. So now let's go to Nelson's, which will fit perfectly with what the article is. So apparently, there's contention in the ranks. See, President Nelson is the president of the church. It's his way or the highway. However, he became an apostle with Dallin H. Oaks. But because Dallin H. Oaks couldn't give up the world and follow Jesus, he's now the first counselor instead of the president of the church. I'm waiting for you to be President Oaks. I'm so waiting. It's going to be so much more fun with you. So Nelson, dumb. Everything he says just shows his stupidity. Case in point, in this article in the Church News, which was on Facebook, now Oakes is pushing for child bride polygamy, as well as overthrowing the government with religious freedom. So yeah, he's worse. He's the head that emerges after the first head of the dragon dies, or is chopped off. It's taken from Hydra, if you know who Hydra is. I don't think it's the G.I. Joe Hydra. It's the Greek one, I believe it is, with Hercules. But we can find out. Tease you for a little bit, make this more entertaining for you. Because you're going, oh, seriously? Oh, Greek and Roman. So the Romans liked it so much, they kept it. So, cool. Alrighty. So, Nelson is having a fight with Oakes and Irene. They're not wanting to obey the living prophet of Jesus. And so Nelson is now chastising them to show that he loves them. See, that's why I do it to you guys, prophets. I love you. I'm just being honest with my feelings. And so he's now saying his own self-fulfilling prophecy of human behavior. Yeah, psychologists are evil. I just watched the NCIS episode. I know what I'm talking about, as the church has escalated, exalted psychology in the state of Utah and in the church to take over science. They are anti-science. They use fallacy arguments for what they claim is medical diagnoses. They're not medical doctors. Their PhD doctorates are only for their education. So, Dr. Jones, I presume, Indiana Jones? Yeah, that's because he's an archaeologist. He is not a medical doctor. That's usually what we refer to as a doctor. And unfortunately, our government has given psychology, which is anti-science and not real doctors, doctor's status. Medical health doctor status. It's real evil. And it began with Hitler's Nazi Germany in World War II. America gave psychologists asylum in America, and instead of thanking America for liberating them, they plotted to overthrow America, as they secretly worked with the CIA, pretending to help them, but instead plotting to overthrow America. Isn't that great? And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was behind the whole thing. The Council for National Policy. And so, he's trying to explain 6 ways to disagree. Did you not read Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which he realized he had made a mistake, and it's now 8 Habits of Highly Effective People? This is a problem with psychology. It's wrong. And so he's making this all up off the top of his head from his arguments with the presidency. And so he says, express feelings with love. You stink, but I love you. Theme song in the description below. Two, don't think you know best. Yeah, says the ignorant person who doesn't know best. There is always somebody more intelligent than you. They know best. If you are not the brightest, you need to acknowledge that. Because what this is an attempt to complain about why you're stupid. So acknowledge the person who is more intelligent than you. 3, don't compete, Nelson. When somebody's smarter than you, it's not a competition. You've already lost by being dumber. And that's why he's doing this. He's projecting. You can't judge me. This isn't a competition. I'm the president. I speak with Jesus. I'm his word. Not you, Oaks. Or I think he doth protest too much. He's rigorously defending his position here. And he says, number 4, don't rigorously defend your position. Oh, Nelson, have you not learned that psychology is a fraud? 5, let the Spirit guide your conversations. Yes, we all know what spirit you follow. Dear God. See, because I did the video yesterday talking about it. You probably didn't last long enough to hear it. Just like now, you're no longer listening. You've got a Mormon whose spiritual witness tells them something regarding church interpretation, scripture interpretation, like second coming, latter days, whatever you want to call it. It's the latter days, not second coming, by the way. But Travis says, don't compete. Don't think you know best. You're not loving. And so another Mormon has a spiritual witness on the same topic, but it's a completely contrary, different answer. The two of them come across and meet each other, like on their mission. Or in the presidency. And the topic comes up. And they both present their views, and obviously they disagree. Whose spirit is going to guide the conversation? Exactly. It's going to quickly turn into my spiritual witness is better than your spiritual witness. It becomes a competition. This is stupid, Nelson. Fruits. That's why NCIS. Gibbs told the group, He's hearing a lot of theories, but not results. They've got to investigate. You don't come up with a conclusion and think your conclusion is better than the others. Tony was right all the time. He just didn't check the international database for the wife. And then 6, the church will never learn because they're not translators. Have you ever noticed that? No? You only heard about it through me when I do conference talks? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints no longer have the gift of translation. They don't want it. The Abraham, Pearl of Great Price stuff? Nope, Brigham Young didn't want it. It was only made the Pearl of Great Price under John Taylor, and then was put in the 1981 quad. You had to buy it separately before then. And so, yeah, translation is also what gets the church in trouble because they're not translators, so they don't know how to explain things. They don't know best. And Nelson keeps botching translation at the Pulpit of Conference. And, yeah, this is one of the big errors. And I lost dating Kimberly to this one. I liked Kimberly. She liked me. Until this. Our spiritual witnesses clashed. Not peaceful. She didn't understand I knew best. It's my career field. I'm educated, degreed. I would be published if I had the money back then. I'm now published. Yet, the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews, just like the Bible. It is not a Christian document. Christians. As such, it has been translated incorrectly by Christians. The King James Version of the Bible has many errors. The Catholic Bible, for example, has it correctly. So you'll watch a movie or a TV show of a wedding that takes place, and you'll hear somebody quote from Corinthians, love is blah, 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 blah. And you go, what scripture is that? I don't know where that is. And you have a scripture program, and so you type it in, love is kind, love is, and you can't find it. Where is it? It's because in the King James Version of the Bible, it's charity. Charity, if it were the Greek word, would be keratos. To give. It's not the Greek word. The Greek word is instead agape. I know a lot of Mormon women know that song. Eros and agape. I think it's a Mormon song or an EFY song or some crap like that, with feelings and hearts and tender emotions. And even the women's motto, oath of office, faith, hope, and charity, which would make sense if Mormons understood that charity actually means to give and not replace it with love. But you say, well, Travis, the Book of Mormon. Exactly, the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is trying to correct the errors of translation in the Bible. Did you not read about Nephi's vision of the tree of life of his father? Great and abominable church, tampers with the Bible, tampered with Joseph Smith's works and the Book of Mormon. needs to be correctly interpreted and translated correctly. Not the Book of Mormon. As a result, what you see in Moroni that comes from Corinthians is the repetition of the errors in the King James Bible. Because it's not a literal history, it wasn't on actual gold plates. Didn't exist. A contemporary author, most likely Sidney Rigdon, finishing up the book because he has a year now to keep working on it because Joseph Smith let Martin Harris steal the manuscript. 116 pages. And so Joseph was on timeout for a year. And thus you see Moroni saying, hey, I've got time. Let's talk about my father Mormon. Some of the letters he wrote to me. Hey, let's put in Ether's abridgment. And then he finishes up. And so, in 1829, not 28, that's an error, Bruce R. McConkie, naughty boy, Section 10 is then given. Months after, marvelous work and a wonder is about to come forth among the children of men. Yeah, that's when they finished it. And yet they hadn't even started yet. Because Joseph was on a timeout. He's got to redo the whole thing now. Ta-da! Oliver Cowdery's now babysitting him. Because Joseph can't be trusted. So, yeah, that's the rest of the story. And so, yes, the actual word is agape. It's love. It's not charity. That's what the Book of Mormon is trying to teach you. That the Bible word in Greek is agape, which is the highest form of love. And instead you see the pure love of Christ in Moroni. And Mormons, instead of understanding translation, instead create a whole new definition for charity. I really like Kimberly. I assume she got married off again. I hope not to the guy who broke her leg. But nonetheless. Man, what am I supposed to do? I call her, and she says, I'm really glad you called. And what am I going to do with that? Am I supposed to say, hey, let's see each other sometime? No, she's dating this other guy. What am I supposed to do? It's up to her to say, I'm really glad you called. Can we meet for... We don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. I don't like the smell. But something. Ice cream. Chicks like ice cream. I like ice cream. I like chick flicks. Girls like chick flicks. We have so much in common. What's wrong? I know. Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Because now that Tony got exposed with the frog's daughter, and that's over with, and it broke his heart, Ziva is now going, Tony can change for a woman. I want him now. And he's resisting Ziva. As he's then went and pursued these two other women in front of Ziva. So hilarious. The competition of the sexes. So there you have it. Charity is the antidote to contention. Dear God. Here's a gift. Sorry I didn't say I love you, dear. Here's flowers. Who are you cheating on? You're cheating on me. Is it porn? I'm not dead. What do you mean?